Well, hey folks, and welcome to a nice warm morning in the polytunnel. It's overcast outside. It's a nice Sunday morning here, and we have plenty of work to do today. So we're going to start by potting on some celery and celeriac seedlings. So let's have a look. So we can see we've got loads of plants on the bench here. We have tomatoes here. We've loads of different aubergines, melons, cucumbers, French beans here. But these are the guys we're interested in today. So you can see these little pots here. We've got celeriac here, and then this is celery. Now they're very small seeds. They don't really do well if you sow them individually in modules. They take a long time to come up. So this is really the easiest way to do it. They were sown there on March the 28th. And it's now the 1st of May today, so that's how long it's taken to get to that size. But at this size, we want to now prick them out, and we're going to pot them on into individual seedling trays to grow on, and then we're going to be planting them out in the garden later. Okay, so this is one of those videos where I've got the camera strapped to my head, so I can't actually see what you can see. So I hope that it all looks all right. But anyway, this is our celery here, and we can see that we have plenty of nice sized little plants. There's also some small ones even just germinating, but we have loads here. We have more than we need, so loads to be potting on today. And then I'm going to be using these Charles Dowding 30 cell trays. I suppose it's a relatively small module size there, but what we don't want is to be potting on into something too big, because then the compost can get too wet and we can end up then losing our seedlings from overwatering. So I've already started here. I've started with our celeriac there. I think we already said, sown on March the 28th. And I just emptied out the pot. And you can see there we have our seedlings. You can see the length of the root there. So all I'm doing is just gently breaking up that compost, and I am planting it into our seedling tray. I've already filled this. I've firmed down the compost into the tray with my fingers, so it isn't too light and fluffy, because we want it nice and firm, and then we want plenty of nutrients in the tray. So obviously the more compost we have in, the more nutrients. So I'm just gently breaking the compost apart. And then we have, I'm just holding it by the leaves there. I hope you can see that there. So that's our little celeriac seedling. And then I'm just making a hole in my compost, and I'm popping my roots in, and then just firming it around it, and to about the same level that it was planted in the pot. So we can see we have 3 there. So I'm going to fill this tray, and we're going to end up with 30 little celeriac seedlings. So lastly then, obviously we need to water our seedlings. And you've seen me do this before, but I like to just leave them in a tray of water. And the reason for that is it means that the compost gets properly saturated, because obviously we're watering from the bottom up. So once I see that the compost is wet on the top, I know that the seedlings are properly moistened. When they're done then, and obviously this is a bit quick, I would have left them for 5 minutes. I'm just putting them on the bench there, and what I want to make sure is that I don't want to over water them, and that's another one of the advantages of putting them in a tray of water, is that they will go a little bit longer until they need to be watered again. And I tend to always water like that, so I won't let them dry out completely. We do need to remember that both celery and celeriac are originally wetland plants, so we don't want them to get too dry. Yeah, overwatering is the death knell really for any seedlings. So we do need to keep an eye on that. So depending on what the temperatures are like, I have these in the tunnel obviously. With this size tray and that size seedling, I probably won't need to water these for another 4 or 5 days, I'd say. And then I'm going to be soaking them periodically every few days. But again, that's depending on the temperature. So that's it. We'll come back to these when hopefully we've got some bigger plants, and we should be able to plant them outside. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.